And you are playing the type of football that we do, but you actually play a forward pass
Yeah, yeah.
that tries to pierce through. That's
Exactly.
directness as well. It's not just lumping. So you can be clever with your directness. And
Yeah.
I think that's where we maybe need to improve on, because how many games have we said, oh, look, he's done a fantastic. I saw a couple in the Vertu Trophy final. I think Stansfield peeled off
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he just needed a ball through, but the ball went
I,
sideways to the side.
Welcome back to a BCFC Royal Blue. And this Bank Holiday Friday, Birmingham City face Crawley Town, and Birmingham City will certainly want to have a bounce back reaction off the back of that disappointing game at Wembley on Sunday in the Vertu Cup Trophy. This won't be easy. Crawley Town are in 22nd. They're 6 points away from the drop, but of course, goal difference plays into that as well. But there's only 4 games left, so it's tight down the bottom. So I've no doubt Crawley Town are going to come and fight for absolutely everything. But coming back to my previous point, we want a reaction. The boys are going to be fired up. They're going to know that wasn't good enough at Wembley. And I think we're going to have a good game in our hands. So, Dad, we host Crawley Town on Friday. What are your thoughts?
Again, looking forward to getting down to St.Andrews again. I think this is an important game for us because we, as you said in the intro, we do really want to see a better performance than we saw at Wembley in the Virtue final. I think the players will want that as well, just to get that feel-good factor back again. I mean, it's not that it's left, fundamentally, but that element of deflation. It's an opportunity for the players now to bring it all back against a Crawley team that really have to win this game. If they've got a slim hope of staying up, but if they get defeated at St Andrews, they won't be mathematically down because there'll be 3 games left. If Burton win their game, they'll be 9 points ahead. But the goal difference that Crawley have got is really, really poor. So, like you mentioned, they're going to be all out to try and get the 3 points. So we'll have to be vigilant and watch that.
I think what's a good way to start it, Dad, is I watched the pre-match interview with Scott Lindsay, their manager, and literally in the first couple of sentences he says, we're going to try and win the game. We need to throw everything at it. We're going to go for it. So,
Yeah.
we have been very critical this season that, haven't we, of teams coming to St Andrews, putting 11 men behind the ball, really boring, really just, not entertaining games of football. But I think, as the manager has alluded to, I think they're going to go for it because they have to. They've got no
Yeah.
other choice, have they?
Yeah.
Which is going to make them vulnerable at the back. I do appreciate that. But I hope we just see like a free-flowing game of football.
But a point's no good to them, so
No.
there's no point in. We've seen teams come to St Andrews, Matt, and I'm sure Blues fans will know this. They've been 2-0 down, and they've been trying to waste time. 2-0 down. And
bizarre, isn't it?
Crawley we're at that stage of the season now where they basically have to win this game. So if they do come at us, that's a good thing. Firstly, it'll make the game more exciting.
Yeah.
We're not going to be subject to the low block so much, and it means that they'll give us gaps at the back. But they are in poor form. To be honest with you, they're the team that really surprised me last season because they won the playoffs in League Two and they came from nowhere. The season before that, they nearly went out of the league.
Yeah.
And they've done ever so well. I mean, Scott Lindsay was their manager, but of course he left and went to MK Dons. Didn't do great there, MK Dons. I mean, they've really underperformed in League Two this season. But of course, he come back, I think, mid-March to Crawley. And they started off quite well, actually, when he came back. But we'll come on to their form and lost their last 3.
I mean, in some regards, it might sound strange saying fair play to Crawley, but what I mean by that is, I think everyone, including myself, expected them to be 24th and cut adrift at 24th. And fair enough, I know they're in a bad spot at the moment. It looks like the odds are saying that they're going to get relegated this season, but at least they've had a crack. And they've picked up some surprising results. I mean, I've got some of their wins and their losses here, which are a real big sort of, I guess when you look at teams at the bottom, especially in the relegation zone, there's a real level of inconsistency, isn't there, within their results. So, I mean, some of their wins this season, and granted, there haven't been many, but they beat Blackpool, Cambridge, Lincoln, Rotherham, Charlton. That surprised me.
That was away as well.
It was 2-1. I remember it well, yeah. Rotherham, Bristol Rovers, Stevenage and Mansfield. But they've lost to Shrewsbury, Cambridge, Northampton, Peterborough, Barnsley, Wigan. So they've picked up some points with the teams around them and some higher teams. Well, the biggest one being Charlton. But the key is they've lost games to Shrewsbury, Cambridge. When you lose those games around you, that's when you really find yourself in a tough spot, isn't it?
But why not give them some encouragement, knowing that they can pick up points against the sort of mid to top teams when they need to. So that'll give them some encouragement. But they're not in great form though. So in the last 10 games, they've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 7. We have won 8. This is league games, by the way, because obviously we won't count the Virtue Trophy in ours. In the league, we've won 8, drawn 1, and lost 1. In the league table, they're third bottom on 36 points. Their home form is third worst in the league, and their away form is fourth worst in the league. Which is not surprising for teams struggling. Offensively, they're They do score goals, so they're only just below mid-table in the amount of goals scored. But their big problem is defence. They're rock bottom of the amount of goals conceded. They've conceded 81 goals in their 42 games. I mean, that tells its own story. So you can see where their problem is there.
Yeah.
So they are going to be vulnerable. And if they leave gaps for us, we should be able to
Yeah.
exploit that.
Well, I often, Dad, when I'm doing my research for these podcasts, I'll look at the recent history in terms of the last sort of 10 games, but I'll also have a glance over like the entire season as well, just to gauge, are they a goal scoring team? Do they concede a lot? You know, are they high on the draw? You know, on draws, it depends on sort of where they sit in that table for me. And just again, they remind me a little bit of Peterborough just in regards to some of their score lines. Listen to some of these score lines, Dad. I haven't referenced the team. Or whether it's a win or a loss, but this is a mixture of wins and losses, right? 3-1, 4-3 three times, 5-1, 4-1, 4-4, 3-0, 3-0, 4-1, 5-3. I mean, goal fest left, right, and centre, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I think again, some of these are wins, some of these are losses, but they can score goals during times of the season. But actually, they're a big problem, and when they do concede, they seem to concede quite a few.
Yeah, it seems to be it's like it's all or nothing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
a little bit. Yeah.
When Scott Lindsay came back, they won their first two games. They beat Bristol Rovers 1-0 at home, and they beat 4-0, beat Rotherham away 4-0. And I think all the Crawley fans there must have thought, oh well, you know, we've got a bit of hope because I think the gap was shortening between them and safety. But then the last three games, like one of these results you were talking about, they lost 4-3 at home to Peterborough. Lost 3-1 at Stevenage in their last game, lost 3-1 at home to Leyton Orient. Some good
Yeah.
teams in there, actually. But they've now really put themselves in a position where it's going to be very, very difficult for them to get out of.
Yeah.
But as you said, Matt, they can, you know, this could be, against us, it could be a potentially
Yeah.
high-scoring game.
I think they're a bit of a confidence team, Dad, because if you look at their wins, they're kind of together. So they've won 2 games back-to-back, first opening games of the season. Then they won 2 kind of, I can't remember when it was, but they won 2 close together again. And they won another 2 close together again. So they seem to be,
Yeah.
when they win, they kind of maybe get a little bit of confidence boost. But then, of course, when they lose, the wheels really tend to fall off, don't they? And I said their biggest thing is that goals conceded. But what I've been really impressed with, Dad, in this division so far, because again, when we talk about League One and Blues especially, teams playing the low block, teams not really being very adventurous, they do have a good press.
Yes.
I noticed this when we played them in December, because I think Crawley was either the first game or one of the first games in that build-up, you know, in the mad...
It was the last game before Christmas.
It was, yeah.
It's the 23rd of December,
the
wasn't
one.
it? It was the last game, last fixture before Christmas, I think, in the whole
Yeah,
league.
so in that part of the season, you get a pretty mad build-up of fixture congestion, don't you? And I remember that was such a frustrating game, wasn't it, away at Crawley? It was one of those where it was just cagey, it was scrappy. They defended well, actually, and they came at us from time to time as well. So they had a go even when we played them at their place. And we just got through, didn't we, with a 1-0 goal from Stansfield header, I think it was.
Yeah.
So big 3 points for us going into that part of the season. But, no doubt they're going to come with fight. They have to go for it.
Yeah.
They've got no other option. So
Could make for an exciting game, couldn't it?
It could make for a good, exciting game. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a bit closer than what people might think, actually.
Yeah, well,
We'll come to score predictions at the end, but...
Yeah, but I mean, as a team that are struggling in the bottom of the league, clearly they're going to have a lot of weaknesses that are identified through the research. So a few strengths, like you mentioned, they are good at pressing, good at counter-attacks. They tend to try and play short passes, but I don't think they'll do that against us. I think they'll probably try to bypass our midfield, because most teams have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Most teams have tried to bypass it. So
long balls,
because short passes, we press better than anybody. As good as they press, they don't press as good as we do.
No.
So short passes could be suicide for them in this game. So I think we'll see a lot of long balls, actually. Weaknesses for them, but there's lots of weaknesses, as you'd imagine, and some very weak. Protecting a lead, but looking at their stats, that doesn't happen very often. Stopping opponents from creating chances, so we should get a few chances. Defending attacks down the wings, so that tells us that's important as well. Defending counter-attacks, aerial duels, avoiding individual errors. They're all highlighted in my research as very weak in terms of what they do. But for them, you know, this is like you said, it's an all or nothing game, and they literally can go at it, knowing that, you know, they're going to be expected to lose anyway because we are where we are. And, you know, they classify themselves as Little Crawley. A little bit what Peterborough did, you know, the David and Goliath type of scenario. And we know what happened in that situation. So, you know, we've got every opportunity to go. And our players can be motivated because we've got the potential, the carrot of going for the points record as well.
Yes.
And I think that's what the motivation will be for Chris Davis now, to keep the players really on it because we don't want the season now to drift away, do we? With
No.
poor results.
And also, though, if you reflect on this now we've lost the Virtue final. Let's just call it what it is. As in, I'm not bitter about it. It's a week on now, pretty much. I've moved on. It's fine. It was disappointing to go down there and lose in that way. That the players didn't really turn up. I get it, but that would have been, I think, quite short term happiness in terms of the Virtue Trophy. No one would have really remembered that in a couple of weeks or even years. People just forget that Birmingham City won it. If we can get the points record, that is a legacy that will last a substantial amount of time. I don't think there's going to be another team in League One like Blues for a very long time with the money we've had, with the budget we've had. And I can't, again, this is all hypothetical. If we win it, if we break, it's 103 from Wolves in 2014.
Yeah, 103 for the League One record, 106 for the EFL record.
If we do manage to break that record, I think that is something that will actually stand the test of time for an actual accolade.
Yeah, it's funny. I was watching a clip on YouTube of Jeff Stelling on TalkSport.
I saw that.
And he said nobody outside Birmingham Peterborough cares, about the Virtue Trophy, which I thought was quite interesting.
But then a lot of the Peterborough fans were saying he's just jealous Hartlepool haven't played in the EFL for a few years.
Well, that's what happens. A bit of banter as well. Just a little bit about Crawley. Their top scorer is an attacking midfielder called Armando Quintana. He's got 8 goals. Will Swan, centre forward with 7. Damari Doyle, attacking midfielder with 6. Ex-Villa player Russian Hepburn Murphy, centre forward with 6 goals, and Tolu Shimunwi, centre forward with 4 goals. So there are goals in this team because, as I mentioned, it's the defence that's their problem. But they have the ability to score goals, and if they're going to come at us, they're really going to give it a go. They play a system. Well, they vary the system. So they've played 3-5-1-1, which is an unusual. It's effectively a 3-5-2, but that's adapted, isn't it? For a
it's the same. 10. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But they've played that 18 times this season, and they've played 3-4-2-1 12 times this season, with a few other variants in that as well. I think that this game, if they are going to come out, they're going to have to also be mindful of our firepower as well. So it's all right saying let's go for it, but they've still got to keep it tight at the back as well. Yeah. So I think they'll probably end up going for what effectively is a 3-5-2. Which is which gives the 5 in midfield the ability to drift back, but also to support as well, isn't it? So it gives them the ability on both attack and defence.
We've seen that a lot with teams that set up with the 3 at the back. The midfield always tucks into in the defensive side of the game. They always tuck into it's like a 5 or a 6 sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's literally like you're hitting a brick wall, isn't it, from a Blues perspective? So if they do it effectively, they will come and frustrate. But I just got a feeling with the position Crawley are in, they can't afford to do that. I mean, they might sit back for the first half or the first part of the game just to let the tempo ride itself out, maybe just to absorb the storm that, if we do get off to a quick start, they might try and ride that storm. But at some point, they're going to have to come out the traps because if they lose this game, as you said, and Burton or anyone around them picks up points, they're effectively gone. So,
but on the other hand as well, they won't want to get completely, thrashed because the thing for us is we've got to start raising the tempo a little bit when we need to, and we've got to start putting chances away because we play good football.
Yeah.
We have plenty of possession, but it's the output is not what it needs to be. It needs to, we need to, like we saw. I mean, let's not talk about the Virtue Trophy final because there's so much that we analyse. We can watch the post-match podcast that we've already put on to see our analysis of that. But it's very, very symptomatic of some of the games we played this season where we felt that on occasions where we are not, the tempo's too slow.
I think it's important to reference the Virtue Trophy for one reason, and you've just said it, is because it's a pattern that's been consistent throughout the entire season. Is we don't shift the ball quick enough at times when we need to be dangerous. We'll put the pressure on or put the foot on the neck. Really just put them under the pressure. And I think that was our biggest criticism of the Virtue final, and also in certain games this season when we've had teams, we need to put teams to the sword and we're not shifting it quick enough. So I want to see us actually really move the ball with some tempo this weekend. And I think we will, because Chris Davies has acknowledged in his post-match conference at the Virtue Trophy final that we weren't quick enough in certain times. I think he's going to focus on that this week in the training ground. And
I think as well, again, I know we're still an evolving team. We can't forget, we've achieved our objectives. We've got promoted. We've won the league. But we're still a team of new players, and they're still learning, even at this stage of the season. And, there are occasions where we've seen players make good runs and the ball hasn't been played to them. And those type of decision, that split-second decision-making is what can make the massive difference, rather than shoot it back and it goes side to side again. I know there is occasions when that needs to happen, and that's what Chris Davies' philosophy is to keep the ball and try and find a way through probe pro, but sometimes there is a need to be a little bit more aggressive in the forward play.
People don't like the word direct because it has that connotation of lumping the ball in the box, but sometimes I think we do need to be a little bit more direct, and that doesn't mean deep balls into the box, peppering it. It just means actually going forward instead of getting locked in this side-to-side shoehorn sometimes. And I think the word that comes to my mind, Dad, is chemistry. And I know this is, again, a ridiculous comparison, but if you look at, the Arsenal unbeatable team from, 02, 03 or whatever it was, they just knew where each other was running, where the passes were. When you look at a team in form, when you look at a team who's together, had that chemistry, had that togetherness, they know when to pass. They know when Stansfield's going to make a run. So you're right. I think that only comes with time. It's been a long season. The team, Chris Davies has done a fantastic job, but I think only better things are to come the more these players get to play with each other anyway. Because you're right, it's a complete overhaul.
Yeah. I think there is an element to directness as well. There is that one directness where you do lump the ball. Okay, a lot of teams do that, and we've seen that in the lower divisions.
It's a League One style of football.
League One and below. It's because it's necessary, because you haven't got the technical player, so you literally get the ball forward and then see what happens. But the other element of directness is when you are playing the type of football that we do, but you actually play a forward pass that tries to pierce through. Exactly. That's directness as well. It's not just lumping. So you can be clever with your directness. Yeah. And I think that's where we maybe need to improve on, because how many games have we said, oh, look, he's done a fantastic... I saw a couple in the Vertu Trophy final. I think Stansfield peeled off and he just needed a ball through, but the ball went sideways to the side. So
I agree about Stansfield.
But also as well, Matt, I just think it's that, instant decision making, and it's hard, isn't it? Because if you're a player, your brain is functioning, and you've had a game plan, instructions drilled into your head, and you've got to follow those instructions. But sometimes it's just a case of, I can see a good pass here. Let's just go for it.
But that's the difference between a class player and an average player, isn't it? They just know, and their instinct tells them to play that ball. Yeah, they know Stansfield's made that run because he's been doing it for 3 days on the training ground. So just trust yourself, have some confidence, trust yourself, and make the ball.
It's like having those relationships where the players, like you said, you mentioned chemistry, which is a fantastic word. I'm thinking of the likes of Kevin Phillips and Noel Quinn. Going back into the
Alan Shearer and Chris Sutton.
Yeah, they knew each other so much. They just knew, so literally could play a ball in, knowing that player's going to be there. At the moment, we haven't got that. And that is the issue, and I think that will come with time. Obviously, it's probably a little bit late for this season. We might see glimpses of it, hopefully, late in the last few games. But it's something to build upon that we can sort of develop for next season.
I think if we, let's just say the season finishes that all good, we're promoted now. Let's say we break the points record. Let's be really optimistic, and then we go into the pre-season. If we can get that right in pre-season, that click and that chemistry moving forward, we are going to be so dangerous next season. Because I think that's the only thing missing from our game sometimes is that I think the 3 behind Stansfield or May. Don't get me wrong. Again, Keshi Anderson's had a fantastic season. We all like Dowell. I'm not necessarily knocking any of them. But if we can get those right and get those firing, we're going to score some serious goals. And for me, that's the one thing I want to bring forward into next season. Yeah,
and we have said in previous podcasts as well that Chris Davies now will be looking at everything that's going on now and working out with one mind on what with next season. That'll include the players that have got to come in as well. Yeah. You've got to get them in first, and then we can work through it. But, we've got promoted with 6 games to spare. I mean, how often does that happen?
I know. It's absolutely crazy. But where are we at time? And let's talk about the Blues team and get our score predictions in, and then we'll close it out. So let's go through the starting lineup. I actually think it's your turn to do the back, and then my turn to do midfield.
Yeah, I'm going to shake things up a little bit as well.
And me?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Well, in one area.
Okay, Allsop in goal. Yeah. And then I'm going for Samstead at right back. Yeah. Because I don't know whether Ethan Laird is injured or whatever, but I think with 6 games to go, we've got a game again on Monday, haven't we, against Burton?
We have.
So I think we might see a little bit of rotation here. So I'm going to go for Alphonse Samstead, who I think deserves a go. Okay, he's been all right when he's come on in games.
Played well in the Peterborough League game when we won the league. Yeah, I think he's turning into a right little player.
Yeah, and he's permanent now as well, isn't he? So Allsop in goal, Samstead at right back. I am going to go for Clara and Davies, and it's got to be Cochrane because there isn't another left back. Yeah. But I'd pick him anyway because I'm not saying that he's the only choice. I would pick him anyway. Yeah. So that's my back 5 counting the goalkeeper.
No, same as me, Dad.
Yeah, as well?
I genuinely have. Yeah, and it's not necessarily a reflection on the Vertu Trophy. I don't think Laird had a very good game at Wembley. If I'm going to be honest, I'm not making this decision off the back of that. It's more about when Samstead has came in, especially in the past few games before Wembley, he's actually looked really hungry and wanted it and. He's got that grit between his teeth, I think, and we've signed him now. He's part of our squad, so moving forward into next season. So I think he's a good player, and I think, again, Dad, I know everyone wants the points records now, and I think Chris Davies wants it as well. But the pressure is off a little bit, just in terms of we are promoted, we are champions as well. And I think that is the kind of right move to make in these sorts of games, in my opinion, to give Samstead, because he's been doing some good performances anyway.
I think the philosophy of what we're suggesting here is how it should be. If a player has a poor game, he deserves to be dropped. Give somebody else a chance. And that player, we're thinking, actually, if I don't, next time I get a chance, if I don't sort of play my best, I'm not going to be picked again. It's, if you have a good game, you keep the shirt. And I agree, Ethan Laird didn't have a great game. I don't know whether he came off from injury or what, but whatever happened, he didn't have a great game. So I think Samstead is a good replacement, and that's what I think, and we both agree then that'll be the back line.
Absolutely, and nice to know we're on the same page, Dad. To be fair, the defence is usually our bread and butter, just we know exactly who's going to start, don't we? So that brings into the midfield. So in the two centre mids in the 60s, I've gone for Awata and Paik. I've kept it consistent with Wembley.
I think Paik might be injured.
Okay.
Maybe. I think
he has, hasn't he?
But I read today that they were assessing it, so I've got a feeling that he probably won't make it.
Apologies then. So if he doesn't make it, I'll go for Awata and Leonard.
Yeah.
I think Leonard is the natural swap for Paik, isn't he, when he's injured? And again, I don't think Leonard did anything wrong to justify a bench. Just Paik seems to be a slightly better preference, doesn't he? I think Paik is slightly the better player if we're going to just do it quite literally. Who would you pick? But I think Leonard's had a really good season coming back off the Newcastle game off the injury. And I think he deserves his place, to be perfectly honest. I've gone for Keshi Anderson on the left. I've gone for Kieran Dowell in the 10, Luke Harris on the left. And again, this isn't a reflection on Wembley, but I actually think he's going to give Stansfield a break. I think he's going to start with May.
That crossed my mind as well. The thing is, what you've mentioned there, you obviously mentioned quite a few options, and we have got that now. I noticed you haven't picked Williamson.
I think he needs to be on the bench.
And I think exactly the same, and I've gone for that. Now, previously, we've done what we want, what we think Chris Davies will pick, and what we would want. But I'm just going to tell you what I think would be a good lineup. Okay, so we can't. They haven't got a crystal ball. Don't know what Chris Davies.
And also, every time we predict it, we usually get. Although we write for the Vertu Trophy, we usually get it pretty wrong.
yeah. So I've gone for Anderson on the left. I've gone for Dowell on the right. Obviously, I've got Awata and Leonard in the middle. And I've gone for Alfie Mount at number 9 with Stansfield at number 10.
Okay.
Which is a bit quirky, isn't it? But and I'm thinking that, because Chris Davies can try a few different things because of the fact that we possibly need to rotate because of the amount of games we've got now in a very short period of time. Yeah. But secondly, it's worth trying a few things out. Now I know we've tried this in the past, haven't we?
We tried it in reverse, didn't we? Yes. Well, more so. We tried May in the 10 and Stano in the 9.
But I think if you're going to play the Stano and May in the 9 and 10, I think Stano will be better in the 10 because May is definitely a number 9.
He's a goal scorer, isn't he? Yeah.
But Stano, if he can play a little deeper, he's got pace as well, and I think that would work. Also, as well, there's a possible introduction into that lineup of TGH as well, Taylor Garden-Hickman. Yeah. He could come in and play maybe right or left or midfield, couldn't he? So
he could play with Awata in the middle, couldn't he? But I think they're too similar.
Yeah,
I think Leonard is a little bit better on the ball, so I think he might give us that forward momentum sometimes.
But he's played at left and right wing, and he's played at in the middle, and he's played at right back as well. So he's been a bit everywhere as well. So just to reiterate, what I would like to maybe try is Anderson on the left, Dowell on the right, Leonard and Awata in the middle, and then the number 10 Stansfield and 9 Alfie May.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, what would be interesting as well in your one is put Dowell in the 10 and put Stano on the right, maybe. Again. Just options. We have options, don't we? No. And just to confirm mine, Dad, so we've got Awata and Paik in the 6s, Keshi on the left, Dowell in the 10, Harris on the right, feeding into May.
Yeah, and obviously we'll get the views of Blues fans. Let us know what you think the starting lineup is. It's very tricky at this time of the season because, particularly where we are in the league as well, in terms of winning it and what Chris Davies will do. But that's what we think as well. So we just do a quick score prediction before we finish?
Yeah, go for it. What do you think, Dad?
Well, it's going to be off the top of my head because I've not really thought about it, actually.
Go for it.
I'm going to go for 3-1 Blues.
3-1 Blues?
I'll go 3-1, yeah. Like I said, I think Crawley will come at us and give it a go.
Yeah.
3-1.
I've gone 2-1.
2-1.
So we've gone close, but I think this is actually going to be a closer game than what people think.
Okay.
Maybe there might be a bit of an adrenaline or a hype fallout from the promotion and the final, or maybe, Crawley will just absolutely throw absolutely everything at us. I just got a feeling we will. I think we will win this game. I just think it's going to be closer. And Crawley can score goals when they get going.
Mm.
So I don't know. I just got a feeling they're going to score, but we're going to have enough to win this. I've got
Yeah.
Birmingham City 2, Crawley Town 1.
Okay,
Any final
fantastic.
thoughts, Dad, or happy for us to close it out?
No, I just all I would say is I just hope we finish the season strong now. You know, I don't want to see after such a good season. I'd hate to just to peter out and then.
Yeah.
So I think it's an opportunity for the players to and also stamp their mark and show Chris Davis what they can do so that they're raring to go and in his thoughts for next season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as always, Birmingham City supporters, we would love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Maybe you're a Crawley Town supporter. Maybe you've tuned into the video we did earlier in the year. Maybe you've just stumbled across this for the first time. Let us know your thoughts as well in the comment section below. And if you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also over on Spotify, so you can listen or watch us on that platform as well. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and press that bell notification so you get notified every time we post. And myself and Dad will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.